Welcome back to another episode of BHAW Radio. I am your host, Brian Rowan, and I am on site at West Point in Coach Ward's house for episode 68.
I am the host of the host. So, yeah, welcome to the crib.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yep.
So I got here earlier today, went to wrestling practice. We'll get into that. We'll get into a lot. We'll get into a lot this episode. But we got to talk about the elephant in the room. You guys are not at Midlands right now, I don't think.
Well, since we're in my dining room, no, we're not at Midlands. So probably our listeners, all 36 to 48, the listeners out there probably know. We found out, I think it was December 22nd, that Midlands was canceled. And so I get home from somewhere, I don't even know what I'm doing. We have family in town. So I go to the airport and I pick up family that's coming in. I get home, I sit down on the couch, and I get a text message from Colonel Gist. And the text message is like, what the heck? And I'm like, oh no, what did one of my guys do? Like somebody's in trouble, you know? And so like I check my email real quick. No email. Okay, what? And then I go to Twitter, and then boom, it's everywhere. So that's how I found out, is logging on to Twitter and seeing that Midlands was canceled. So that was on, December 22nd. We started scrambling, looking for other competitions around here. I mean, we were talking to Bucknell, Penn, Rutgers, Pitt, a lot of school at Purdue. Like Tony Erdson at Purdue was really hustling, trying to put something together. I was really interested in that. Like we were looking at plane tickets, and long story short, none of those materialized because Izzy Martinez, Martin Floriani, Willie Saylor get together, and they get the same exact venue for Midlands on the same exact days, and they're hosting a tournament that starts tomorrow morning, the Illinois Matman Open. So we had planned to go there, had registered for it, and then on Christmas Eve, I got a message that, it wasn't good news that we weren't going to be allowed to, out of an abundance of caution, that we weren't going to be allowed to travel out there and compete. So kind of a bummer. We found that out at about, 2 or 3 p.m. on Christmas Eve and had to scramble and make plans. So now we're back at West Point. So we were supposed to meet in Chicago on the 27th. And then the guys not competing were supposed to come back here to West Point on December 31st. Instead, everybody changed their plane tickets. Like our guys handled this thing like professionals. Everybody rescheduled their plane tickets. We met back here on the 27th, and we're just training until our next competition.
So when you say like you got the notification on Christmas Eve, bad notification, especially if you're doing Christmas Eve.
Bad message. We were ice skating. You had like 6 kids out there ice skating, and I get a text message that says you can't go to. That wasn't fun.
So like, how does this decision come to be? Like, what's kind of the behind the scenes on that?
I mean that's a legit question. But to be, I don't know. It's a decision that's made. It's not mine. I was very candid about it, disappointed. I don't like the decision. I can respect it. I can appreciate, some of the reasons that decision is made. All right? So I'm not like living in a vacuum where I don't see what's going on out there in the world. So I can appreciate, the reasons behind the decision, most of them, I think. But, I get told. That's what happens, is I get told. It happened. And I don't have to like it, but... we got to adapt. And so, what I told my guys, what I told everybody that I talked to here at West Point is, look, I'm going to complain about this for a little bit. I'm going to say some bad words, and I'm going to tell people how I feel about it, and then I'm moving on. Like, I'm going to have to just focus on what we can do, and that's try to take care of our guys. Their Christmas breaks got cut short. They had to buy plane tickets last minute they didn't plan on buying. Their plans changed. Our guys that were planning on going and competing at Midlands, really ready for a breakout tournament, and we need those matches. That got changed like that. So just try to focus on what we can do to take care of the guys and train them and get them ready for whatever's next.
How was it like notifying all them? Like, how did the wrestlers take it initially? Like, did they find out from you? I'm sure they probably found it on Twitter, I would think.
No, they found out from me that we're not going, which is how it should be done, by the way. Like, there's no reason. Like, I don't need a phone call from Midlands. Like, I don't need the guys to pick me up the phone and call me personally, but like an email to all the coaches or something, like, hey, coaches, we're sorry, but you may want to be prepared to tell your team we're canceling Midlands. I didn't get any of that, So, no, I made sure. This was Christmas Eve. And after I was put up a fight and lost it, I got on our team group chat and said, hey, we're having a Zoom call in 15 minutes. Try to be on it. And they knew at that point, like, you don't have a Zoom call in 15 minutes on Christmas Eve to share great news, So I think they knew something was up. And I just said, hey, look, guys, we're not going, bottom line. And there's some more details that go along with that we'll keep, within the team. But it was like, you got to get back here and you got to get back here fast.
Was there any issues getting some of the guys back? I mean, getting plane tickets now, like last minute like that.
Yeah, they're still not all back because some people have family obligations. We got, one wrestler that has to attend a funeral and, like real world stuff happens, outside of West Point, and like, so, yeah, but I would say it's maybe 3 or 4 at this point that still aren't back. Everybody else is here. So
what's the what's the plan ahead? Like long range for the next couple of weeks before the next competition, and then kind of like what's the day-to-day, plan for. So the next
competition that the full team that's actually on our competition schedule that we made last spring is the Franklin and Marshall Open, the 7th of January. So next Friday. And everybody that's healthy is planning on going to compete there. In the interim, we're still looking for some competitions to get guys matches, because here's the deal. Long range, you have to have 15 matches before the last week of the season to get an RPI. An RPI is one of the criteria that's used to qualify spots for the NCAA tournament. So we have a number of guys on our team that if we just wrestle our schedule out, will not get an RPI. Can't. PG Ogunsanya, if he just wrestles the schedule, won't have an RPI. As good as he is, and he's 5-1 or 6-1, he won't have an RPI because he won't have 15 matches. We have 4 dual meets left, man. That's it. We have 4 dual meets, and we have this tournament next week. And we have guys on the team right now, like that have anywhere from 2 to 4 matches. Like missing Midlands is a big deal, not just for that weekend, but to move them forward closer to the NCAA tournament. So we have to find some Division I matches for some guys, and we're looking. I think we have something that I think is going to work out before Franklin and Marshall, but until it's like rock solid, we're not going to announce it. But we're looking for some competitions.
Nice. So what's the what's the practice schedule during break? I remember like looking back to my time here.
Yeah.
We do usually 2 days. One would maybe be wrestling. Sometimes both would be wrestling. Just. It's just a lonely place during Christmas break, so.
Well, I mean, it's like, is it lonely? I don't know about that, like we got each other. So, we got back here on the 27th, worked out that evening. The 28th, which is that today? 28th is today. We had a workout at 9:30 a.m. this morning, and then another workout at 4 p.m. Tomorrow, we have 3 team activities. We're going to go on a hike in the morning, early, like 7 a.m., on the mat at 11 a.m. and then come back for a lift at like 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then we're going to have a simulated tournament in a few days where guys are going to weigh in. They're going to have like 3 rounds of competition throughout the course of a day. And then maybe start to taper a little bit before we get back into competition. But, I mean, all, out of the weeds and like just big picture, we're training hard right now. Like the guys are pushing. We don't care if we make them tired and their bodies are like they don't have to feel good right now. They need to push because this is an opportunity to train. This is the one time a year that we're on a level playing field with everybody else. Like you have no competing obligations right now. It's just wrestling. That's it. It's business. So we're gonna take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I attended practice today for everybody out there. It was a rough go.
It was a great.
I didn't participate in the practice itself.
When Big Rose says rough go, it doesn't mean that he was out there.
Yeah.
I wasn't either, by the way. Coach Green ran practice. I just kind of like sit back and say things every now and then.
So I had planned on wrestling at the practice, but I showed up about an hour before practice, and Kevin's like, "Hey, let's wrestle." So I hop on the mat, and after about 40 minutes or so, I realized I'm not wrestling today during wrestling practice. I cannot do this.
I realized about 40 seconds into it that it was a terrible idea. Like, neither one of us should be out there trying to wrestle at this point. And then we went to dinner after practice, and sitting down there, sitting on the stool, I was like, oh God, like, how am I sore already? And that's the most I've wrestled in the past year for sure, and probably more. Like, because last year with COVID, like, they didn't want us touching our wrestlers, so it's like we couldn't wrestle. And to be honest, like, not wrestling with guys last year, like, my body, my back, and everything, I felt so much better. I was like, man, this is like, I need to, like, hang them up. I have to admit that it's not great, for me to be wrestling anymore. And then today I go wrestle for 40 minutes. It was a terrible idea.
Yeah, last year you didn't have any, scenarios where Tyree is just carrying you out of the wrestling, the gymnasium.
That's a true, walk. No, and I've had a few of those over the past few years where I, could not put my shoes on, or, I mean, I went through a few spells where, I had to get dropped off at work. I couldn't drive, so, I don't want to go back there. If my back, when it gets messed up, it's messed up. It's like I've got to, get dropped off right next to work because I can't drive and then park and then walk. I'm not going back there again. And plus, it messes with my golf game, and I don't want that.
So let's rewind this a little bit. We haven't done an episode since the Rutgers duel.
Oh man!
Since before the Rutgers duel, and then our Army Navy football. Talk to us a little about that. Kind of, I know there's a gap in between. From competitions, obviously, between then and you anticipated Midlands. Kind of what were your thoughts on the duel? I'll stop talking.
Man, I thought, a friend of mine asked me, how do you grade your team after that dual meet? And I said F-. And then maybe the next day or the day after that, he texted me again and said, do you still think so? And I said, hell yeah. And here's why. It was like, I don't really have the words to describe, the disappointment of that dual meet. And we're past, I'm not living there, but you asked about it. But it was I'll tell you this, we did not compete and finish matches, whether we won or lost, the way that we're going to have to do if we want to be a championship team. Just didn't have them. Up and down. We did not finish matches. Matches that we were in, matches that we weren't. We don't, if you're not in the match, at least make them earn the last takedown. Don't just cough it up. We just, we didn't compete through the end. Matches we won, we gave up the last takedown. It doesn't have to be that way. It was a very, I don't mean this as a cheap shot at Rutgers, but that was a very winnable dual meet for us. And it's easy to say, all right, okay, heavyweight doesn't, give up a takedown in overtime, and PJ's not sick, then you split 5-5. A lot of people told me that. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. We sent a team out there. They've got to compete. I didn't feel like we competed the way we could. And not having PJ that day, that hurt. We woke up that morning, and PJ was like, I don't feel good. So he came in the wrestling room, and I was like, well, how's your weight? He's like, I'm a few pounds over. It's like, all right, see if you can get down. Looked around the room, and his backup, Matt Williams, I was like, Matt, what's your weight? He's like 10.5 over. And I'm like, God, I was kicking myself for not having Matt ready to weigh in. That was my fault, not Matt's. He wasn't expecting to wrestle. And then Zach Kill sitting there, Zach, what do you weigh? I'm like 151. You're making 149 tonight. We might need you. He was like, all right, let's go. And stepped out there, competed hard, scored the last takedown in his match. So that was a bummer, not having he's unquestionably our leader on the mat, so not having him, that hurt. Some good things about that dual meet. I thought it was very winnable. I thought our performance did not match the reality of on the road in front of an awesome crowd, freaking awesome crowd. The level of intensity you have to bring to beat the number 12 team in the country on the road. Very winnable for us. We just didn't step up and win it.
Yeah, I planned on going to that, but I had another function that it came up.
It had to. What was it?
It was a CrossFit.
Of course it was.
I started a new CrossFit gym, and I needed to you're only exposed to the people that you go to the class with. So this was a holiday competition and Christmas party there. So I was like, all right.
So if for all the listeners, come watch Army Wrestling, CrossFit Christmas Party. So we're going to be looking for a new host pretty soon. So anybody out there that's got like some host, let's not kid ourselves. You don't have to have incredible skills to be on this show. Anybody who has nothing else to do, contact BHAW about being his replacement.
No, Tyler McLeese, he's got it.
Dude, McLeese, we got such good feedback about McLeese on here.
Yeah, he's and he's like he reminds me of a young Jordan Tom.
Much younger. No, listen. Let me
Just
tell you,
the passion that Jordan had at the start of the show is where Tyler's at right now.
Tyler's got such passion, but he was articulate. Tyler's a smart guy, but I still remember who we used to call the Thunderhammer in the wrestling room. Not so articulate, not so professional, but just like bashing people's heads, you know. And now look at him, you know. He's the heartthrob of BHAW Radio now.
He comes very well prepared, you know, and
Yeah.
he wrote it all on a piece of paper. You know, all the results.
Not like us. I've got this on my hand. This is Talk Wrestling. Those are my notes.
I mean, it was unfortunate. I was following the Flow had a good little feed going of like live updates.
Yeah. I mean, it was competing that time of year here is hard because you have finals. The week before finals here is brutal academically, so we're trying to compete after that week with finals coming up in 1.5 days after that. So tough, but that's what we wanted. You know, I mean, we wanted to go to that environment, and we got what we wanted. It was an awesome environment, great crowd. I mean, the fans were on you the whole time. It was great. We really loved it. We want to do it. Matter of fact, I've already talked to Scott, the coach there at Rutgers, and it's like, good job hosting the event. Let's do it again. You know, I want to come back. So it's probably going to happen again.
Next year, Army Navy's in Philly. What's the...
Yeah,
we're already planning discussions. I mean, you did Drexel the night before a few years back.
Working on that. I think that was a big hit. If we can find a competition in and around Philly the night before that game. But, you know, it may not be the most popular thing for our opponents because we travel so well for that game. So I think some opponents may not want us there that night. But, we're going to try to make that happen.
UPenn could be a good... I went to the UPenn Penn State match. It was pretty fun there.
They have a good team. They keep getting better. That would be a great dual meet to have the night before the football game, for sure. Yeah.
So looking ahead, you know, you talked about F&M's the next competition. Mm-hmm. What teams are there? Do you know what they expect? Or?
Yeah, there's 400 reserved spots for the tournament. Now, it's not going to be 400. It's going to be closer to the 320, 350. But maybe out of the 18, 20 teams that I saw, I mean, all except maybe 3 of them are Division I.
Nice, so all the matches will count.
So they contacted me. Yeah, most of them will count. They contact me after that tournament and say, after Midlands, you know, and said, hey, our tournament's blowing up. Like, everybody wants in. Do you still need all your spots you reserved? And I said, yeah, because we've been planning on this since last spring. Like, we're taking the whole team to Franklin and Marshall. Midlands was gonna, you know, help determine some starting spots, and I told the team that before they left. Like, show up on the 27th of December in Chicago, ready to train, not ready to cut weight for 2 days. Like, come ready, like you've been training, you're just trying to sharpen the axe and get out there and compete. Because we have a few weight classes that are not settled, you know. So now what are we looking at? Franklin and Marshall, you know, that's the last time to see everybody. The plan was, let's see everybody in Midlands. Let's see them all again, you know, a week and a half later, whatever it is at F&M. So now we have to adapt a little bit, and you know, there's going to be some tough decisions on some of our starting weight classes. We got really, really good options. So Franklin and Marshall has now become really important for some guys on the team that want to, like, plant their flag and stake their claim to a spot.
Yeah. So kind of going back to, you know, I guess I didn't necessarily realize, I guess I realized it, but when you said that, it just geared this thought in my head about, you know, having the guys being ready to, you know, showing up close to weight, been training in Midlands. Like, do they have like a plan? Like, do you guys as a coaching staff have a plan for them when they go on break, like how they're going to get workouts, or is it all on them, or how do you kind of balance that?
It's like we're more used for help and guidance, and not. I don't want to be a dictator of, like, here's I don't want to be a dictator of here's what you're going to do exactly while you're home. Like, find ways to do it. Train. These guys, I mean, at this level, you know how to train, at least for 5 days on your own, So, like, go back home and stay ready. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wasn't sure if it was like, sometimes there's like specific things you want guys working on. Like, hey, you've been working on, this position. I want you to work in that. Like, do you have the resources to have a wrestling room to do this? Those kind of things is where I just like wasn't.
So all of our training after the Rutgers match was all individual practices because it's finals week. So every individual got a lot of time with coaches working on specific individually focused things. So it doesn't take that conversation. Like, Brad and I have been working on some things for 3 or 4 sessions in a row. Like, it's a given that you understand that coach thinks those are important, so you should continue to build on those.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the amount of slots that F&M had. Do tournaments have to request a certain amount of slots? Like, is that all factored into like NCAA match allotment or?
No, I mean you're allowed 6 matches in a day at a tournament as an individual. You can't have more than 6. So, match counts taken care of there. It's however many that tournament wants to host. But like if we go to a tournament and they're still running matches at 7 p.m., I'm probably never going back.
Oh, yeah.
So it's up to them. Like, do you want to run a good event or you just want to make a lot of money for 1 year? The more people you bring in, the more money you're going to make. But if you run a crappy tournament, then I'm not coming back. We'll probably we've discussed this year. We've been to a couple that I'm like, this is not good. Like, we can do better. So we may host a tournament or 2 at West Point next year and do it the right way. So, it's just however many they want to let in.
So back when I was in high school coaching, there was when we put together like the tournament schedule, one of the major factors was the hospitality room for the coaches. Does that factor at all in the college world? Like,
if there's not one, it definitely matters. And here's the deal: coaches, hospitality coordinators, managers, listen. Put the coffee on before anybody shows up. Like, I don't want to wait until after weigh-ins to have my first cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Like, that needs to be ready. If weigh-ins are at 7, schools are showing up at 5:45, I want coffee 5:45. So when you come to the Black Knight invite, we have the best hospitality room because we do it right, too. The coffee's on at 5:30, and we don't weigh in until 8. So come on in, like... Have a cup. We got it brewing all day and good food. Like, most coaches, we don't eat a lot during the day of a tournament. Like, barely much at all. Apple, banana. Like, you don't want to eat a lot and then go coach, and you're too busy. You just want coffee and water. That's it. So,
and
yes.
a good breakfast, probably good breakfast sandwiches early on because it starts out the day.
No. You know how bad you feel riding a bus home for 4 or 5 hours after a tournament. You've been sitting there eating all day. You didn't exercise. You've just been coaching. I can't do that. I can't. Like, I'll eat a little bit, but whatever I eat, I have to feel like it's healthy. Because, like, otherwise, I'm sitting on a bus on the way home. Like, I want to halfway feel healthy. Give me coffee, give me water. That's it.
I could talk all day about the hospitality. I
may get some cookies or brownies every now and then. But I'm not sitting down eating brisket for lunch. It's not what I want. Let me brisket, potatoes, and then go sit in a chair in the corner of a match and yell at a ref. Like, that's not it.
Yeah, you don't see it very often in college where, like, they stop the wrestling action for, like, an hour and everybody just goes and eats lunch.
We would riot. No, you can't do that. We're trying to get home.
You see that in high school events, though. Like, they'll stop all the action for, like, an hour so the refs and the table workers can go to the hospitality room and get food.
That's a death sentence for a tournament. We'll never. But you cannot do that. No.
For dual meets, though, you have the intermission. A little 15-minute, they can just swoop back into the room.
Yeah.
Have a bite.
Yeah.
That's enough about food.
Okay.
What else should we talk about? We're about 24 minutes now.
I mean, there's no visitors questions. There's no listeners. Questions tonight. People probably forgot that BHAW Radio exists because it's been so long. But look, we were due for an update.
Like 8 days.
And no, we haven't talked since after the Rutgers duel.
No, but I had 2 episodes since then. I had Patty Simpson came on, and Javi Rodriguez came on.
I got to catch up. Yeah, no excuse, sir. No excuse, Coach. Yeah, I mean, so I think what's important for all our fans to know is, look, we're scrambling. We're going to look for matches because we need them. Here's what's going to happen is we're going to have to wrestle our way into the NCAA tournament. Like, we're not going to be a team this year that probably has 8 or 9 allocations like we've had in the past. Our schedule is so tough. Our win-loss records don't look great on paper, a lot of them. But understanding that, like if you go back and you look at my career dual meet record as a coach, I think I'm like 500 or maybe like one loss under 500 now after the and I just knew that because it was like printed on a pamphlet down there at Rutgers, like their hand. You want to win, you don't want to lose, and you don't want a losing season, but it's never been the most important thing to me. Because until college wrestling changes what dual meets mean, there's only a few that like really matter. Do you want to go win all these? Hell yeah, you want to win them. But there's no season implications in a win or loss of a dual meet. 0, right? Doesn't matter. What matters is being your best when you're supposed to be your best, which is in late February and March. So I think, our schedule, as tough as it's been, prepare our guys for, mentally of like, I've been here, I can handle it. And we're going to need to be our best, when it matters the most this year. That's for sure.
You talked to after practice, you talked to the guys about chasing greatness. If you're listening, that's one of the mottos of the team and everything. What made you kind of want to talk about that more in depth today, and kind of what was the message you gave to the wrestlers?
So actually, that's something I started working up like on our way to Rutgers. Actually, maybe I was sitting in my hotel room, kind of typing this thing up. But it's like maybe I haven't communicated it enough with the team over the past months or years of, when I chose that phrase chasing greatness on the wall, when it's something that I think about every single day, like I haven't done a great job telling the guys on the team why it's important to me or what it means to me. And what I told the guys today was like, and what that means to me is like, you've got to have this hunger that you're always chasing something. And you've got to be willing to like live a different life when you're like that, because it's so much easier to be comfortable and be content with where you're at, because that makes you happy. So you've got to be like, you've got to have this almost twisted view of like, I'm not there. There's more I can do. And when you choose to live that way, like you're never satisfied, and being never satisfied can be exhausting. Like it's uncomfortable and it can be exhausting, but it also is a way to help you reach your fullest wrestling and human potential. So if you have that attitude of I'm never there, I can always accomplish a little bit more. You're always chasing something. Like there's no master. Bill Walsh, the Hall of Fame coach from the 49ers, he said, listen, there's no mastery. There's only endless remastery. And that's kind of like what it is. It's just constantly chasing, the next best thing for yourself. Not that you can't be proud and happy about where you're at, but you can't be content. Like you gotta want more. And I think we need more of that from our team, to understand what that is. Like, we haven't made it. We're not there yet. Like, we need more, and we need more every single day. Like, the time is short and the clock is ticking, and we need more every day if we're going to be what we say we want to be.
Only 78 more days till NCAA's.
Until tomorrow. There's 77. You think anybody's working out between, 9 p.m. and tomorrow morning? So when they wake up tomorrow, there's 77 days. Clock is ticking.
Sure
That's
is.
it.
Well, that's all I got on the agenda for tonight. Any parting words for
It's
the
good
listeners?
to catch up, man. No,
Yeah.
I appreciate everyone, all the supporters. I joke about the dozens of listeners every time, but we know that the audience is growing, and I appreciate all the feedback. Appreciate the support for our program. Listen, if you want to close out 2021 and help support our program, look at the West Point Wrestling Club. Look at the Friends of Army Wrestling. If you can lean in and help support us, we appreciate that. If you're looking for a cause to give to close off 2021, not many better opportunities to support America's team than West Point Wrestling Club. So consider that. Appreciate what you do. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I look forward to seeing you in 2022.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, Kevin.
All right, man.
Sure.
Be home.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.